So then Aziz Ansari said, COVID is just the flu with a better publicist. It's very funny.
Fucking goddamn right it is. That fucking wouldn't say that. Absolute half.
So we've got a nice group of girls today. Call us the Spice Girls if you want. But seriously, we'll hold the laughter for later. Joining us today, we've got the great Karl from WATP. Hello, Karl.
What is happening, Hughezy? Good to see you, buddy.
Could we have a boom?
Oh, I suppose. Just for you, because you asked nice.
Excellent. We have got the returning excellence of Stevie Lew. Hello, Stevie. How are you?
Hey, Hughezy, it's going to be a long night, and I'll be your Johnny on the spot tonight, baby.
Excellent. Can we have a boom for Stevie? Boom! We have got the great Chad IanB from Eyes Are Peer. Chad, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Before anybody asks why am I here, I'll ask it for you. Why am I here? Can I get a boom?
Boom!
There you go.
And best of all, we have got the returning guest from I think 2019, 18. It was a Skype session. We were both drinking during it, believe it or not. The excellent man of the moment, the lovely and talented, ever youthful, the inventor of Gigia himself, Geno Bisconte. Geno, how are you doing today?
To quote Krusty the Clown, hey, I'm doing very well. How are you guys?
Krusty the who?
Again, sorry that I'm setting up as we go, but the simple fact is fucking my internet. I've got Bob Levy's internet now. It's like the curse. Thank you, Karl. How are you, buddy?
What's going on, man? Good to see you, Geno.
All good things, buddy. Hey, congrats on DabbleCon. Fucking killed it, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a blast. Wow, what a great event that turned out to be. Who the fuck?
I thought it got canceled. It didn't get canceled. I was told for certain it got canceled.
Anthony's not even going to go. There's no way Anthony's going to be there. No one's even bought tickets. It's not even going to happen.
They're all just a bunch of lying. I can't get enough of it as they melt themselves down. I really cannot.
I'd be embarrassed if I weren't laughing at them so hard.
Yeah,
Hughezy's marking that down, the time stamp for his first beep.
What's that?
Of the show.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm pretty woke. We don't have any say it on this show. We don't say it, and we also don't have them as guests.
Thank God.
Kevin Brennan had a little bit of an issue with you today, actually. The fact that you bleep words like fucking and motherfucking on your podcast.
Wait, who bleeps words?
Yeah, because see, I know with the YouTube guidelines, you can't say or racist or homophobic stuff, and that's why I don't talk about Amy Schumer much on the show anymore.
There you go.
No, but what I've got with you on to talk about today, Geno's, of course, I was a guest on the Kevin Brennan podcast, and he was talking about Geno. And what I'd also love to hear is, of course, Karl and Chad and Stevie Lew's reaction to this. But so basically, I gotta be honest with you, I thought for a long time that the Geno versus Kevin Brennan feud was fake because I'm a pro wrestling nerd, and how people will go from storyline to storyline, and I thought, oh, this is made up so that they can fucking trade barbs, excuse my French, with each other online. Turns out that it's gotten very, very real and really quite personal, specifically in the last couple of months since you started dating Keanu. And would you like to hear a hilarious roast joke, Geno?
I would indeed love to hear a hilarious roast joke, my friend.
Hey, Geno, I heard you're over 50 and going out with Keanu. And I hear that if you go below 50, the bus will blow up.
Not bad. Or my bladder. Not bad. Yeah, very good stuff, Hughezy.
Yeah. No, but so basically, with the latest in the uptake of this Kevin Brennan feud and the fact that he's now accusing people of trying to shut down his Patreon and his YouTube and stuff like that. And he seems to be pointing the blame a lot towards Ye and Chrissy Mayer and the lovely Frank Pellegrino. So what's your take on all this latest development and drama?
It's the real victim in all of this is fucking Levy, who needs to get the fuck away from him. Kevin Brennan, it's its own punishment when you live in a lie, it's his own punishment, because Kevin Brennan is screaming people are trying to get him canceled. And all his fucking followers that believe him are like, yeah, he is, but we love free speech. No one's trying to cancel you. And even if we wanted to cancel Kevin Brennan, you can't, because he's a giant fucking who edits every fucking thing out that how many times you want to play a fun drinking game, watch Misery Loves Company, and every time he says shut up, edit that out. And I have to say to you, Hughezy, he wouldn't let you say Leslie Jones. He wouldn't let you say Leslie Jones because he's so psycho that Leslie Jones is staring at everything he does and trying to get him canceled. He thinks I'm trying to get him canceled when I don't even watch his show anymore. No one is. Meanwhile, he's like, Geno went on YouTube, and no, I didn't. No one does. And all this. And my favorite part is this guy now, and I literally mean this guy. That's he's the Gum Friday account, and that's how I know him, because I DM him, but I have no idea who he is. I'll tell you, he's somewhere in Jersey, I think. And maybe Philly. He's a Philly fan. I remember talking about that. But he's got another account with a. It's called I forget who it is. Oh, I won't say it. But it's a fake name and fake face. And Brennan's losing his mind over this guy who I don't know and I have no control over, saying, "Oh, a faceless coward." His top 3 fans: Joe Exotic and MLC Podcast, same people, and fucking the Atticus Flynn. They're all nameless fucking cowards that try to cancel us every day. And this doesn't compute with Kevin Brennan, and I'm sorry that I love that it's fucking breaking that closeted fucking. I love it, and everything he says about me is a fucking lie. So go on.
Hughezy, speaking of no control, did Geno fart at the beginning of that rant? Did you guys hear him let out like 3 quick farts at the beginning of that rant? Because
Kevin Brennan, Stevie Lew, do your plugs. Stevie Lew, do your plugs. Jesus Christ.
Maybe you should put a plug in your butthole, Geno, because it sounds like you've been gassing it a little bit over there, buddy.
Okay, so there you go. Anything else?
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Oh, anything else? Jesus. Yeah. Guys, just real quick, Geno is on a juice cleanse right now, so he's not drinking or eating.
My liver is trying to get out of my body.
You can see he's a little ornery.
Yeah, it looks like you're drinking farts there. But Karl, from your perspective, you're kind of like the Leslie Jones of podcasting right now these days.
I've been called that. Yep.
But by the way, she's a very funny and handsome man, and I think he should be the next Blade. But that's just me. But for you, Karl, from your perspective, and you've had to deal with a lot of these cancelers and accusations of shit behind the scenes and drama. What do you think about this kind of stuff that's going on? And don't say anything racist, please.
All right, I'll try not to this time. So it's funny that the people who accuse other people of taking these types of actions are the kind of people who actually do that sort of thing. I would never accuse someone of trying to get people to not subscribe to my Patreon, because I would never think to even do that. Meanwhile, Chad Zumock, who's out of Mr. Love's company, literally goes on his show and goes, "Stop giving Karl money. I don't want him to succeed." It's like, Chad, what does it matter whether I succeed or not? It has nothing to do with you. Why not just root for yourself, buddy? That's what you should be concerned about.
Yeah, they're all fucking. They're all doing the exact thing they're accusing of us. It's sorry to do that, guys. They're all doing the exact thing they're accusing all of us of doing, and it's laughable, but it becomes its own punishment. Like Kevin Brennan, he worries about. I've said this about late night TV. I've said this, and it's why I love what we do on In Hot Water, because we can say whatever we want. God forgive me, on Compound Media, because we're behind a paywall, and we can say whatever the fuck this can say whatever he wants to, and I fucking love that. You understand? Because we don't worry about being canceled. So why would we worry about canceling anyone else? We wouldn't. But Kevin is so worried about it it's all he fucking thinks about, you know? And once you worry about that, he can't be enjoying what he's doing. Although I'll tell you one thing he doesn't lie about. He is miserable and he loves being miserable. So maybe he's happier than ever because he's miserable.
But one of the things that I thought was so crazy is that he's going after people for saying racist stuff. But when you and him had that argument in the studio, he flat out, like literally in front of a HD camera, called you the N-word, which, by the way, I think is a racist term. That's just me. But I'm not trying to get on Saturday Night Live yet. Just being hilarious.
Well, that's the other thing about canceling people. The whole thing about the phone number thing, I could bore you 3 hours with the long story, but the short story is I beat him at his own game by being me, because when I finally did give out his number, it was well after he had texted me so much fucking hate speech using a word he accuses me of saying on stage that I don't. Do you understand? And when I fucking pointed out that, look, and this was after he gave out fucking what's his name's number, Mike Calta's number, after it, like more of his hypocrisy. And I just said, it's 2022. We all have cell phones. And if someone gives out your number, it's the easiest thing to ignore if you get a text you don't want. And it's fucking the easiest thing to ignore if you get a phone number you don't know. And I said, that's why I don't give a fuck. And I gave out his number. And then I gave out my number. And I keep giving out my number because I like when people text me. It keeps me off Twitter. But Kevin Brennan, every time someone texted him, he got so mad. He was probably like, I'm going to give him Geno's number. And it broke him.
Can I make a counterpoint to you right now, Geno? And you know I love you, buddy.
I would love one.
But as far as giving people's numbers out, I will tell you where this goes awry. And I don't know. My number's out there. I guess people have found it. I've been getting
address is out there. And I know you don't know that because I'm not a and I don't bitch about it. I know you don't realize that because, as Gavin said, maybe you don't realize everyone in the business has it done to. And I know you don't care about it because you're not a Karl, and you're not going to bitch about something that you know happens to everyone in the biz. Now feel free to say your answer.
Okay. That's not fair to say. Karl is definitely a that you have to take that back, Geno.
What's that?
Have you never listened to Who Are These Podcasts? Is it?
Karl is definitely a we all have to give him the credit for
Here's the problem with giving out phone numbers, and you don't realize this might happen until it happens to you. And somebody was texting me. Do you know who Brent Hatley is?
Oh, jeez.
You know what his wife looks like naked?
I just throw that thing out the window.
Now, why is that a bad thing? Yeah, that is hard to look directly at.
I throw it down like it's a glass at a Jewish wedding. I'm just like,
that's terrible. Let me say this though. So now this is where I kind of fall into it. So, I mean, I've heard your name, Geno, through the years, you know, it's just as a listener and kind of picking it up. And I never subscribed to Compound. So I've just heard your name through the years. But where I pick up the story is seeing the video of the fight from, 6 months ago, whenever it was. So all I heard was the phone number given out. So right off the bat, I'm like, oh, wow, that's terrible. How could you give somebody's phone number out? But now I've kind of picked up context. I've listened to some shows.
When you ask Kevin why I gave the number, I was like, because he's an asshole. Kevin, do you understand? Like, he just lies and shit. Kevin, he had a comedy club, and he's like, when you do the club, don't say the N-word. I'm like, what? I don't say it on stage. Why do you fucking... And this is on the network, and I never defend it. Yet there's no video of me saying it on stage because I don't. I did it in a bit. It's a brilliant bit, and when I do my next album, I'll put it on there. First person ever to say please. It was Thomas Jefferson. It was the preferences of his The Harmony profile. It's a whole bit, and it's fucking brilliant. And when I say that, that's a joke. When Kevin Brennan texts you, you really gave out my phone number. That's hateful.
Okay,
and when you do that, what's that?
Counterpoint, like Karl just did there. Please, respectfully, Geno, I love you. There's a difference between what's being said on stage as a bit and what's being texted between two people privately. I'll just say that.
Wait till you see what I'm going to text you privately, Steve.
I knew that was such a bad idea.
Unless Geno isn't, then that's very offensive. I can see why you'd be upset about that.
And let me explain something, because Stevie Lew is so thinking about what he wants to say next. He doesn't fucking listen to people, and I've talked to him about that in person on the air. But you understand, like, it's so disingenuous and hypocritical when if you walk through it, one, he says, don't say the N-word on stage. The next step in the timeline is he gives out Mike Calta's number and tells everyone to text him. He gives it out. The next step in the timeline is a Thursday when a fan calls in and says, is Kevin Brennan's number still whatever? Probably not a fan of the show as much as a hater of Kevin Brennan. And me and Garrett go, we don't know, and move on. And then later that day, Kevin Brennan goes on the boss's show and we laugh at this because we weren't fighting. He goes, yeah, Geno gave out my number. They gave out my number on Geno's show. I don't care. No one watches it. And then the following day when Garrett doesn't think to take it out because we didn't care, he sends me a text. You really left my number in the fucking episode, you N-word. He writes it. And then I just immediately write back because I'm better at this. I go, thanks for the screen grab, Kevin. And he loses his mind. I can send you the text if you're done looking at Brett Hatley's wife, where he says, fuck you, post it, I dare you, I'll fucking kill you. You're a stupid N-word again. Oh. He says all that. And I go on and I'm like, dude, I'm kidding. I'm not going to send it out. I said, let me reach out to Garrett. I'm like, it'll take till Monday. And he goes, I don't give a fuck what you do. Post this, you I'll send you the, he's like, and I text him in the text on Friday before any of this happens. I say, Kevin, just what I said to you guys, it's 2022. Okay. And if I said, I used to do Kid Chris in Philly in 2005 when I had a landline, not a cell phone, and you had to answer. And I didn't even get mad then. I said, Kevin, it's 2022. Someone texts you and you don't like it, delete it, ignore it. If someone calls you, don't know the number, don't answer it. And I tried to leave it at that. And he just kept saying, fuck you. I know a lot of people that want to beat you up, blah, blah, blah. And I got so worked up on Monday that I said, and again, I said exactly that. It's 2022. And I said, if I were to give out Kevin's number, and you know I'm a dick, I go, which is whatever it was. I said, or my number. And I said it, then you don't have to care, because if you're a grown man, you don't have to answer your phone. You can ignore the text. And sure enough, I say, and that's it. And that's what led to everything. A man that accused me of hate speech, which he fucking uses, and I use to fucking disarm the fucking N-word. And we all want to disarm the. You said that, Karl. But the problem is that he just says, no, Geno gave it. And now all the idiots or the people that don't know enough, IB exclusives things. I went on the phone air one day and just said, here's Kevin Brennan's number. And that didn't happen. And the bottom line is,
dude, that's fucked up. That's what you did?
What's that?
You just went on the air one day and gave out Kevin Brennan's number? That's fucked up.
See, Karl wasn't listening. Karl was just.
That's what they're going to clip from this. They're going to clip that and just say,
I know.
See?
I know it usually works. I know.
Karl, you can't just listen and just think about the next thing you're going to say. All right.
Fuck you.
I'll have a talk with you about this off air later.
That was actually kind of hilarious what he did there. I can't wait to see it on a. Look, Geno admits it. Geno admits it to Karl. It's a 3-second clip.
Karl exposes Geno Bisconte.
Yeah. I would never set anyone up for clickbait topics on YouTube. That being said, but what's with the?
I wasn't done with my question. I got cut off like 10 minutes ago.
Whoa!
Can I finish?
Go on.
I didn't talk before, but can I get what the end of my question is? So for every 10 videos that there are about Kevin Brennan on Geno, there's like one response from you. So why is it that he gets to comment on you all the time, but you kind of just, you sidestep it, or you just kind of comment once, but he's obsessed with you all the time, talking about you every single show? Like why is it?
Because Kevin Brennan needs fucking mental help, and he's obsessed with it, and it drives him nuts every time he gets a text of and I tell people to stop, but it drives him nuts that I beat him, and I'm not even trying to win. It drives him nuts. And our show in Hot Water is a great show where we talk about different stuff. We had the president on today, more or less, and we talked to Frankie McDonald, and we fucking had a comedian on, Dan LaRocca, talking about a show, because I love what I do, and if I'm not having fun laughing with a bunch of people in the fucking same room, I can't talk about the same thing over and over again. That's all Kevin Brennan does. And the simple litmus test I always say is, look at our show in the studio. Everyone's laughing at the same time. Look at this fucking YouTube or whatever platform it's on. All the boxes, we laugh at the same time. You will never watch an episode of Misery Loves Company where they're all laughing at the same time, because they either have Chad in a box to shit on him, Ray DeVito, who is a comedy fucking absolute zero. in there to shit on him. Today they pitted the two against each other. It's like having a fight in a cockfight. It's insane. And Levy gets mad at me when I tell him to get the fuck out of there. And today fucking Brennan goes, yeah, Geno said Bob Levy had dementia. And it got apparently, and somebody texted me, why'd you say Bob had dementia? I'm like, what are you talking about? But that's what goes on. And Kevin Brennan does a podcast now like a kindergartner doing show and tell. Remember, it's like, oh yeah, this is a seashell I found when I was on the moon, and I beat Geno to the moon, and it was the shine. An alien told me it was the shine. That's him. That's Kevin Brennan. And every story I've ever told about Kevin Brennan being mad at me, about Chad Zumock punching me, and I'm pressing charges, Karl, suck a dick. Every single one, my story never changes. And you'll thank me, Karl, when he fucking has to go to rehab for his Adderall addiction. Every story I've told never changes. Karl thinks fucking Pat Dixon punched me because I fucked a girlfriend. No, not it. And I'll bore you with that story sometime. But the beauty of having truth on your side is your story never changes, and you fucking can do what I do. Laugh at everything, have a good time, drink like a fish, fucking do a juice cleanse, fucking its own reward living well.
Hold on a second. You don't think that when Chad and Ray debate who has the best dry bar special, that these are two titans who are battling it out on MLC? Come on.
Karl, and I love everyone else in this. When are we doing a podcast together again?
Let's do it. Yes. All right. We'll get that scheduled.
I can admit when I'm wrong, Karl.
I think you should both go on Pat Dixon's podcast. He's looking for guests. But I'm going to ask you that with Bob Levy, who I think is the egg of all eggs. I love Bob Levy. I love to bang his wife, and I'm very serious about that. But recently I've seen, Geno, it is just a little bit of a back and forth between you and Levy. That's the cool way people say between. Yeah. So where did that come from? Because Levy, from my perspective, I've never met the guy in person. Seems to be super chilled out, laid back, and not a grudge holder. But it seems that recently, between you and him, just trying it out again, it's been getting way more not aggressive but agitative. Am I wrong? Or
getting spicy? Because and again, this story doesn't change. I've known Bob for 25 fucking years, okay? And I always say I owe a lot to Bob. But me and Bob are friends, and friends have disagreements. And I tell him to get away from Kevin. I tell him Kevin's lying about this. And sometimes he'll go on Kevin's show, and this is what goes on. Geno's that people are always saying, and you can disagree, or Karl can sit there on a one-liner because he's been killing it. But I mean, it's like my stories never change, and I never say take sides. I'm like, I was subscribed to MLC till last month. I'm like, I can't hear about me anymore without him paying me a subsidy. But the bottom line is, Bob thinks you can sit on the fence while the guy next to you, if I were to sit here shitting on Karl, and using you just sat there and don't defend him, that's signing off on the shit. And when Kevin Brennan tells every lie about me and Bob just sits there quietly, it's one thing. And then he lets fucking it go unattended. And now suddenly he's shitting on Compound Media. Bob doesn't say anything because he's a fence sitter, and that's fine. And now he's shitting on the boss, and Bob doesn't say anything. And you fast forward to Steel Toe getting whatever that pilot was or whatever. And there's a part of Bob, and I love him, that's like, why'd they pass me over? Well, let's hire the guy that fucking shits on us fucking 4 times a week and actually does a show opposite the bosses, fucking does a 5-hour show with me and the boss. And then the next day says, I'm coming back, and does it, and stays there and does the podcast that shits on him. So again, I love Bob. I was texting him just today. We were laughing at the dementia thing. But yeah, there's times where I'm like, Bob, what are you doing? That's all. So again, that answer doesn't change either. It's amazing how my stories are CONSISTENT constant. I know I spelled consistent. Karl, your thoughts?
That's not concise. Definitely not how you spell concise. That's for sure.
You know Bob a lot better than I do, obviously. But I got to hang out with them at DabbleCon a couple of weekends ago. We were hanging out in the green room as he was getting texts from Chad Zumock telling him to die and whatnot.
Tell me about the text, because he won't tell it. Come on.
This is hilarious because Chad got so butthurt that Bob was just at an event that wasn't even about Chad. It was about Stuttering John. But for some reason, Chad was upset about that Bob was there and he was trying to explain that Bob wasn't making very much money. Bob made a shit ton of money that weekend. And all he had to do was a 15-minute set and then sit with his friends and laugh at jerks the rest of the weekend. It's not a difficult job by any means. So Chad's a little bit jelly. But anyway, my point is,
I didn't go. I was so bummed I didn't go. Not like you guys, because I should have just gone to hang out, but I don't think like that. I'm like, well, I'm not a dabble. You can check with Ask the Boss. I told him years earlier, I'm like, Stuttering John's not a nice person, but I didn't think to go. And then I'm like, I'm like, oh, it's just a fucking party. I could have just went and got drunk, which I really need to do. But it looked that much fun. It looked like just a hang where they happened to have a couple shows sitting on John.
Geno, you've been on that train with Stuttering John for a while, and yes, you should have been there because we had after-hour parties in this basement right here both nights, and we were all hanging out. Chrissy crashed at my place. Anthony and Missy were over. Band practice guy. I mean, I don't want to just keep name dropping over here, but I might.
If you can find it, my displeasure started with Stuttering John when I was doing the Artie Quitter podcast, and again, or as I call it, just riding Artie's coattails into the ground. But
coattails?
Coattails, thank you. But there's two people from the Stern Show that I met. I used to always say about Jackie Martling, I'd always be like, he's not a comedian, he just tells jokes. But you meet Jackie Martling once, okay? And you can tell. He's just a guy that loves telling jokes so much. I think people force it. It's like you have to get on stage and tell jokes. And when he's on stage telling jokes, it's fucking great. And I did a gig with him one time in the middle of fucking nowhere, Gloucester, New Jersey. And I walk up and I still have the attitude. I'm like, what do you want me to do up front? And he goes, he's like, look where we are. Do whatever the fuck you want. I'm like, I'm selling shit after the show if you want to watch that disaster. And I'm like, I love this guy. 6 months later, maybe even a year, he's on Artie Quitter podcast. I go to introduce myself. He goes, you're Geno from that shithole in Jersey. So you love. I met Stuttering John 4 or 5 times. And I was like, who are you? So one time he's doing Artie's podcast, Artie Quitter. And he goes, who are you? And I'm like, and that's it. So, and fans will attest to this. It's a legendary appearance. You might even remember, Karl. He kept going, like when I was on the Tonight Show and I would go, you were on the Tonight Show? Yeah. And then finally he goes, when I was on Tonight Show, like the 4th time, you were on the Tonight Show? Yeah. What the fuck were you on? Nothing, but you were on the Tonight Show. And he just lost his marbles. He was shitting on me for years after that. I felt very cool, but he's just a disingenuous piece of shit. And you said it, if he'd gone to DabbleCon, he could have fucking flipped the switch. It would have been even bigger. Everyone would have made more money. And he would have looked like the fucking cool guy. The boss said it. Would have been like a roast with a friend of yours.
I think at the next DabbleCon, Stuttering John should travel up with you and Keanu. And I think it would be an excellent adventure.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes. Canoe?
Yes.
So just to finish my thought, I don't know why you invited other people on with Geno Bisconte on this show. I don't know why Stevie's here myself. But my thought on this, because I don't know Bob as well as you do, but I was hanging out with him and I was watching what was happening as Chad was messaging him and all this shit's going down. Bob literally doesn't give a fuck. When you say Bob should be there defending Compound, like, he doesn't give a fuck. He is there for the lulz, and that's it. And Kevin will say whatever he's going to say, and everyone else on that show, and he's just going to giggle along and get in his little jabs and his quick one-liners and move on. He doesn't care.
If I can say 2 things about that. One, I agree with 99.9% of that, and you're right, he doesn't. I love that he doesn't give a fuck. I never said should. You can go back and watch. I never said Bob should fucking defend me. I didn't say that. You said, why do you get into beefs with Bob? Because he doesn't defend me. And I've never said you should defend me. I just said, well, how do you think it looks when you just shit all over me? And he's like, it'll be fine. And it's like, no, you're making problems for yourself. Trust me, I get a lot of mileage out of Brennan fucking saying my name. I think a lot more people know Kevin Brennan because he was in comedy ages ago and his best days are fucking behind him. And that plays into his fucking misery. But, it's like, I'll take his old fans.
The way that Kevin talks about you and Compound Media, you would think you were on Gas Digital or a real network the way he talks about you guys.
You're confusing me with Berg's bass.
More on him later. But Stevie, you were about to say something.
I disagree with the thing how Levy, the being passed over, that Levy had something about that. That guy just added a new show today. He already fucking has 12 shows. So I don't think that there's anything whatsoever about that. What you said, that Levy thinks that he was passed over at Compound by Steel Toe doing a one-time special. So I thought that point that you brought up was total bullshit. Geno.
Yeah, more like stage show.
Wait, whose point was bullshit?
Home run.
Oh,
Did you not hear what I just said? The point that you said that you thought that Levy felt passed over by Steel Toe. You said those words. Do you recall that?
I said if Levy felt passed over.
No,
you can't.
All right. Okay. Fine. Never mind. Move on.
What are you going for, Stevie Lew? What's your move here?
I was just calling out what you said, which I disagreed with. Is that okay?
Stevie Lew's got a lot of fucking problems. A lot of problems, Stevie Lew. That's what I don't get. Like, the thing about my show is everyone, like, I've tried Stevie Lew at the desk. I've tried Bobby at the desk. Said, like, look, we're all having fun. And when fucking people, like, turn some kind of jealous head, or maybe I can start some, like, look, I get it. If you suck at fucking radio, you fucking want to do podcast wars and shit. I get it. But if you have fucking fun stuff to say and you can play off other people and you know there's plenty of laughs to go around, you do what I do. You do what the boss does. You do what Karl and Hughezy do. But if you're like, did you say I can't wait? Then you really suck at what you do and you just want to get behind a microphone and talk to people. But anyway.
You just said something about how you should stand up for your people. And when other people say stuff, which I think is incorrect, that's what I did there, because I think Bob is a good guy. He's a friend of mine as well. So when I heard you say that about Bob right here, I said something about it. That's all.
Okay, that's another thing. A guy that fucking knows someone from a podcast thinks they're friends. Not someone who fucking, you watch these kids grow up. You fucking used to do long gigs together in Canada. You know him, Stevie Lew. That's how YouTube and these boxes corrupt fucking reality. You understand?
All right, so I speak with Bob sometimes. You're trying to say that I know Bob through a podcast where I've spoken with Bob. I've been with Bob countless times in person. I have his phone number. I speak to him on the phone and I text him. So I don't know. You seem to be a little all over the place and you seem a little mad at me, and I'm all right with that. Let's go. Keep moving on.
Maybe
you seem to be you're trying to be some kind of I'm swooping in, I'm sniping, and you just. Like, I'm sitting here telling a story, fucking saying how my story never changes, and now you're trying to fucking pull a Brennan and say, you said Bob should be upset. I don't even know what you said because I can't listen to lies. I said, Bob, if he's upset about being passed over, you can't do that, using the example of what went on in Compound Media over the past couple months in answering the question about, do things get spicy with you and Bob, Hughezy? See how I walked that back through you in the past 5 minutes? Stevie went, Jesus Christ, be better. Go on. Somebody else.
That doesn't make any sense, Rick.
All right, Hughezy, your turn.
But Chad, from your perspective, because you're a lot like me, where I genuinely think this is the greatest time ever to be a podcast fan, because you've all gone insane.
Yeah,
you're all everybody's nuts. It's almost as if people were taking drugs with Geno and Keanu, such as, I don't know, speed.
That's why it's cool to pick this up, to find out all these feuds and see all this crap going on. I mean, this is unbelievable to see this shit going on for years between Brennan and Geno, and to see this shit. It's got so many layers. And then to pick up Karl and see all these other things going on, and then to be thrust into this Zumock world. I mean, this is unbelievable. This is like the Twilight Zone. And all these different players. This is fucking nuts.
This is very much, and Hughezy, you're over in Ireland. This is very much an East Coast thing with all of these feuds and all this shit going on. Over on the West Coast, you have a guy who literally has a sex cult. He's literally underage girls, and no one talks any shit. They're all buddies. They all hang out together.
Hey! Keep Jeff Ross's name out of this podcast.
I'm not even.
But just on one final Kevin Brennan note, and of course, Karl mentioned the guy underage girls, but Anthony Cumia, the Ant-Man, boom. Of course, he's been getting into a feud with Brennan lately. To me, this comes across as a very forced, almost staged feud.
From Kevin's perspective, it definitely is. I don't think Anthony's trying to keep this thing going. Anthony's just
Yeah,
like, I'm done with them. Moving on.
Anthony's
Evan's the one who's trying to milk this.
I'm getting better at not bringing it up, but Anthony's let me tell you something. He's really good at radio, that Anthony guy. He's a pro,
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But I will thank IB Exclusives. I forgot your name, but I'm sorry. I will thank you for fucking, pointing out that I haven't been bringing him up on the show. I said it 2 weeks ago. I'm like, I know you. No one's going to believe me. I don't blame you, but I'm done. Like, don't get me wrong. I have fun watching it unfold on Twitter, and sometimes, and I don't even watch his show anymore. I don't put comments in there because it just fuels it, And it's like no one is listening to him other than I will say this. Like I peeked in last week, he was getting like 700 views at least. And I think that's from his beef with the boss. So look, I'll give Kev props. He's putting something on that people like, because that's a good view count. I mean, it's not 2.1 thousand like Chrissy has at fucking 2 a.m, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, the only person I want to see fighting the Ant-Man this weekend is Kang the Conqueror. Go see Ant-Man 3 for my sponsors, Marvel. But I thought it was pretty strange because I was on Mizzy Loves Company the other day, as of course, Geno,
and you won't shut up about it. Holy,
Geno. But did you call me Kenneth Branagh?
There was going to be both.
But he was talking about how Anthony's racist and all this stuff, and it's like, yes, but aren't you doing exactly the same stuff that you're now accusing?
Hold on a second, Hughezy. You're saying that he said Anthony Cumia is racist?
No shit, no shit. I want a soundbite.
Mind blown.
Yeah, but I just think that with the Brennan and Cumia side of the feud, for me personally, it comes across as it's a forced drama that isn't happening. What do you think of that, Stevie Lew?
Well, I don't think Kevin Brennan's going to come running into compound to go, fight Anthony Cumia anytime soon. I think that there is a little bit of an angle of this is performance, but those are two alpha males with very strong tendencies to be aggressive. So I think there's about a 50-50 sort of thing.
An alpha male. Are you fucking kidding me? Kevin Brennan is a closeted. Kevin Brennan is one of 10 children, and you don't become an alpha male by watching 9 people after you get more than you have. You become beat down, miserable, and angry. You don't become an alpha male, especially in comedy, when a comedian that's not even 1/10 as funny as you, and I'm saying Brennan is hysterical. Neil Brennan is not. You don't become an alpha male by watching a guy that's not 1/10 the comedian you are, getting 10 million times more than you're making. Don't ever call Kevin Brennan an alpha male again, because when I walked in there during a show, all he talks about is, I would have beat him up. No, I walked in there during a show earlier when when he wasn't losing his mind, and he literally went to grab my wrist out of terror. You can see it. It's the legendary.
He holds
show
back.
when
I watched the video blind, didn't know anything about it. He holds back. When he could have got you, he held back. So
there we go.
Alpha male.
And I'll say it again. If he ever comes at me, I don't hit people. I don't. But I will fucking Don Zimmer him. Do you remember when Don Zimmer fucking went after Pedro Martinez? And he's like, get the fuck away from me. Have you seen him? He's a red-faced, brittle old man. He's beaten down by his wife with fucking other dudes, and his kids. God bless that.
Geno, you would want to have Pedro Martinez to him because Don Zimmer was the one who got chucked like trash. So you would want to have Pedro'd him.
Hughezy, when you asked Stevie Lew to do this, what was the motivation?
You understand what I'm saying? No, you just said you Don Zimmered him. Don Zimmer got thrown. So why would you want to Don Zimmer someone?
We understood the point.
I disagree.
Can I summarize this?
I would Don Zimmer him.
Can I summarize this real quick? I just want to summarize what you're saying. All right.
Wait, hold on, really quick. They say someone Pat Dixoned someone. They mean that they punched that person in the face. Does that clear up the situation for you? Does that? Does that clear up the difficulty of your understanding there?
If you don't throw Stevie Lew out, I'm leaving. I mean it. Throw Stevie Lew out, or I'm leaving.
Should I change
the topic? Throw him out, or I'm leaving.
Here, listen, Geno, let me leave for you, you little bitch. Geno, go suck my dick, you.
He Don Zimmered him. I agree with Geno. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
I don't get
from a sports perspective. That's how you would recognize the play. You wouldn't, or the fight, you wouldn't say the Pedro Martinez fight. You would say the Don Zimmer. That's how the sports fan would recognize it. Karl, would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, I remember that very well. Yeah,
Okay.
of course. I knew exactly what
he was wrong.
But I remember that Brennan versus Geno clip, and it seemed like if that was a real fight, Brennan had at least 3 separate instances where he could have gotten to what's his name, to Geno.
He goes like this. And he literally had him through the door. I just watched it. He had him through the door where he could have gone like that, and he goes like that. Had him. Pulled back.
I think this is a good episode so far.
I was gonna say.
I mean, I was wondering why I was here.
Hey, if only I pressed record, right, guys? But seriously,
I'm not even sure why Geno's upset with Stevie Lew. I'm not even following what's going on right now. Was everyone else upset too? What's going on?
Yeah, I thought that was some. I thought there was like behind the scenes stuff going on there.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can see Geno's shadow coming in.
Oh, guys, he's still here.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
Yeah,
He Don Zimmered him. I mean, it's clearly what he did. He Don Zimmered him.
Geno just.
I heard you both agree with me. It's you done.
Okay, all right, good.
Is there a backstory there to that Stevie Lew feud? Because that was kind of brilliant.
No, I have no feud with Stevie Lew, but I did. He was on. He does my show a lot. One time Stevie Lew was on my show. I'm like, just you don't always have to talk. You don't talk. You don't say shit just to say shit. That's all. He's getting way better.
By the way, can we ISO that? Geno saying you don't always have to talk. Can someone please ISO that? I need that for my board.
You don't always have to talk. And again, Karl, you can listen to Aaron Berg, who used to fucking want all the fucking attention. So whenever I talked over him, he'd be like, Geno, don't. It's amazing how no one complains about me talking over people with Steve and Garrett and whoever is sitting in as a co-host.
Don't turn on me now, asshole. I'm on Team Geno. What the fuck just happened?
I am Team Karl. That was actually me shitting on Aaron Berg.
Good.
Yeah.
Also, the podcast masterclass of you're not friends just because you talk to somebody across Zoom was beautiful. That almost brought a tear to my eye, because that's always been my argument over the years, is just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean that you and I are now friends because we connected here for 45 minutes. So lovely. Yeah, that was amazing.
Well, I think that when Geno finds out what one of your jobs is, Chad, he probably is going to want to be your friend if you'd like to post about it.
Well, what is it? I don't know which one.
The sports stuff.
Oh, well, I mean, come on. That's IB exclusives, baby. I do athlete appearances, meet and greets, sports memorabilia. That's what it's all about. Google it.
There you go. This guy got it.
Yeah, but it just
these super chats.
Work on your elevator pitch.
This is actually been pre-recorded so that I can edit out all this the vulgar swear words such as but I gotta ask you on a totally different topic. I interviewed Geno about 3 or 4 years ago or something like that, and you haven't aged a day.
That's right.
I was talking to myself. I'm just being hilarious. I should do this on stage, really. But the thing I forgot to ask you about last time, and I've been kicking myself that I didn't do it, was I got to ask you about Redbar. Because I know that you always say that jokes are jokes and that everything's fair game if it's a joke. But Redbar did a thing about a year ago or maybe 2 years ago with the comedian. Is his name Sam Tripoli?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like I love dark, edgy jokes. But he did a thing, Redbar, where he was making jokes about Sam Tripoli has 2 children with special needs. And Redbar went on this, it was like a 20-minute rant, a 20-minute bit about where he was like, and I shouldn't even be laughing, where he was like making fun of the kids and saying really crazy, mad, offensive shit about children and how they should have been killed at birth and all this mad shit. So with your opinions on edgy comedy, Geno, and then this stuff with what Redbar did, what was your take on what Redbar did with Sam Tripoli?
Well, he went over the line talking about his kids. I think everyone would agree with that. Even someone like me that usually fucks kids. But I don't think that, I think I used to hate Redbar because when I first got into the biz, when I was first working at Compound Media, he took a shot at the boss. So me and Berg did a whole special on him with like a baby, a Redbar baby. And then he kept fucking coming after me. And I was getting mad. And then I'm like, why do I bother? Because look, I don't even mind Redbar that much anymore. In fact, when Dixon busted my jaw, he put in a comment on one of my Instagram things. I don't know how he works. He's like, what do you have to say about Pat Dixon breaking your jaw? And I wrote back, ouchie. And he read it on the air. It's like, well, you can't argue with that response, right? Or it might have been owie. But yeah, I don't even the more you see people that, that just are like Brennan and miserable, you're like, I get what Redbar's doing. He's a toxic dude, but I love my podcast. I love In Hot Water, whatever you want to call it. I love the shows at Compound Media because we go in, we talk about whatever the fuck we want to do, and fucking people talk about our shows. If you have a show like, we'll just say Redbar or MLC, where your entire show is talking about other shows, that's got to be. And no disrespect to
Geno. No, Geno. It's funny you say that. I was actually about to say what you're saying right now, and I've been told this by other people who recognize it. This isn't me saying this, but there's a difference between like what you and I do, where we're having fun with our show, we're enjoying it, we're laughing, it's a good time, and then there's shows like MLC and Redbar where it's all built on hate. And you can sense that. And there's a reason why they have the listeners and the viewers that they have is because these people are also very toxic to some degree. I know there's some overlap as well. There's some fine people, but no,
and the perfect difference that makes me feel better because you are right. It's like when you do these podcasts, like find a podcast you hate. Let's joke around about it. Okay. Yeah. Fucking Redbar. It's what you said. They're all toxic people. Like, just watch this podcast and send me clips of shit you hate. It's like, what do you do? What kind of life is that?
Geno, I literally do shows. I'm doing a show tomorrow with Hughezy on Alex Jones. I like Alex Jones, and I don't mind making fun of the guy. That's part of the fun of this. Is we can rip on people that we actually appreciate and enjoy, but also point out why they suck.
Yeah, I did the first time I ever did over these podcasts, I was having a beef with Quit Bragging Kate Willett, and you still don't know who the fuck she is. But we had so much fun with it. You're like, I don't hate her. You listen to podcasts, you're like, I don't hate her. This is just awful. I have no emotion about this. It was so fun. Yeah, you're right. It's a fun time.
So to sum up with the Redbar stuff, do you think that kind of comedy it's a bit much, or do you think it's
comedy? Where's the comedy in Redbar? I ask you because honestly, I don't hate Mike David. I like what he does. There are clips that I've seen that I've enjoyed, but he's not a funny guy. He's not being funny. He's angry.
He's a failed comedian, Karl.
Yeah, he's not funny. He's like Chad Zumock, but way more successful. He's just an angry guy who failed in comedy.
There's nothing worse than like when someone's like just sucks at a podcast and you find out they're a failed comedian or whatever the fuck Chad is. But Chad's another one. I'm sorry. People are like, why do you hate Ray DeVito? And I'm like, I don't hate Ray. I just hate that people keep putting him in the way of comedy. Like, I hate that. But Chad's the guy you watch him on stage, like, whoever told you were funny? And then it's like, well, since I'm funny, you're not. Well, since I'm funny, I'm going to do a podcast. And this is how he does a podcast. Just staring at the comments. Like, we get it. You can read. And that's you.
I think I agree with you. So, like, Ray DeVito, if he was your server at Fridays, you're like, this guy's fine. I'll give him 25%. Chad Zumock sucks at comedy, but I'd also hate him if he was my server. I'd be like, fuck this asshole. He's angry. I don't know what his problem is. I didn't give you this job.
I can't wait to steal that on In Hot Water tomorrow.
It's all yours, buddy. It's all yours.
I won't be able to see it. I'll be watching
later. They'll be like, how could Karl steal that from Geno? Oh, wait, Geno admitted it afterwards. Anyway, go on.
I won't be able to see that episode. I'll be watching the live stream of Mondays with Mazer.
All right.
See, and I do like Chad Zumock. I think that it's an unfortunate problem because I do think that, say, I would give it until St. Patrick's Day / April, where I think that this latest feud between everybody, it's going to be done. And then Chad's going to be, unfortunately, the other side of America while everybody else is getting along again. And I think that Chad's going to get left out again simply because of his location.
What about Chad Zumock did you enjoy? Hughezy, I'm curious.
It's just that I've
never been a fan before. This is fascinating. What's going on?
It's just that so far I've never been given a reason to have a problem with him. Where it's like stuttering.
Well, you have low standards. Holy shit.
There you go. That's it.
The guy's never punched me in the balls, so he's fine. What the fuck?
I'm not Jewish. Why would I have a problem with Hitler?
Right. That's exactly what you just said. Do you find him entertaining or funny or witty or interesting?
I do find him funny on Misery Loves Company.
Well, yeah, whenever busting his balls, yeah.
Yeah, I think that for a long time, Misery Loves Company was the best podcast in the world. But I have to say, I'm a Kevin Brennan fan. I think going multiple days per week has really damaged the show because it's like, I love Mission Impossible films, but they make one every 5-6 years, and it's really good. If they started doing a Mission Impossible TV series again, I don't think it would be as good. And I think that Brennan is slowly realizing, or should I say rapidly realizing, that he's running out of content that he could do. He's
overexposed. MLC is out a little bit too often. They have nothing. There's no prep work being done. He's pretty much Mandalorian season 2 of podcasting.
Yeah, he's just reading the comments at this point. But Hughezy, what was your take on your appearance the other day that you've mentioned 17 times? Because I thought it was awkward as fuck. You just went on there and they busted your balls, but not like, well, it kind of was mean at times. And not mean in like a funny way, mean in like a shitty way. And I didn't really think it came off good. I mean, and I love you to death, but I was texting you that as well. I didn't think it was that good.
I didn't actually watch. I haven't seen it back, so I don't.
You were there. What'd you think?
You looked pissed at times. You looked like it was like, they were, they couldn't hear you. They stepped on you 100 times. It was not a Hughezy performance. I'll tell you that.
In defense of Hughezy, I guess you don't watch it a lot, dude, because they made it like that because Hughezy didn't nod. Hughezy didn't go with the false narrative. And every time it's like, yeah, Geno does suck and Chad is an idiot. And he's just like, don't say Leslie Jones. So he kept trying to say Leslie Jones. Hughezy was having fun. He thought he was on a fun podcast. He didn't realize he was brought in to shit on whoever fucking crazy Brennan wants you to shit on. That's why he yells at Bob sometimes. That's why he yells, shut up sometimes. Because unless, like when Hughezy was about to say, he kept taking Hughezy off the air, which I get it, to an unseasoned viewer of the hate that is that show, be like, wow, they're making Hughezy look stupid. But to a guy like me, I'm like, Hughezy's killing it. Hughezy is fucking poking the bear and he can't take it. And I'm not blowing smoke because I'm on your podcast. Thanks for having me, Hughezy. But I mean, am I wrong, Karl?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. No, it was like what? Like he would just look every time you said something, they'd be like, what? Oh, what? We can't understand you. But it wasn't like because that your accent and everything. It was because they literally would step on every word that you said. And it was frustrating for me to watch as somebody who, enjoys you. But what'd you think?
Let me give you one more example of Kevin Brennan's hypocrisy. He kept putting Pat Dixon on so Pat Dixon could spread lies and I could get video evidence that might be used against him March 1st. And then, and his line was always like, yeah, you're right. You don't have someone's ex-girlfriend on. Fast forward to about 3 months later, in 4 boxes, Kevin Brennan, fucking Bob Levy, Alex Engelbert, one of my exes, and Pat Dixon. And it's just like, okay, am I allowed to punch someone in the face now? I mean, I wouldn't because I'm a comedian and we use our words, which is why I love all the clips of Chad Zumock going, I'm going to come to New York. Yeah, this is a threat. I'm going to punch you. Okay, you mouth-breathing meathead. Take another lap around your development in Florida. And the other thing I can't get enough of with why I will give Ray's getting there, but Chad, like, I know I spent the whole time telling you all the comedians I'm funnier than, all the podcasts in hot water is better than, all the people I know that fucking Chad doesn't. Like, that's That's fucking pathetic. Chad fucking Levy, when he got mad at me, was like, it's like, I know more comedians than you. Chad Zumock said the phrase, you can't get enough of it. I open for more comedians than you, Geno. Quit bragging, meathead. Quit bragging, you no-neck fucking quit bragging. You just give him enough rope to hang himself, and it's difficult to do when you don't have a fucking neck. But it's like, he's pure entertainment. And what you don't get, like every person we have on in Hot Water, including Stevie Lew, we're friends with, and we want to joke around with them. Fucking, he can't do a show without Chad or fucking Ray DeVito to shit on. And that's why Chad's, I just got, dude. Again, as I make fun of people, remember, I have no internet and I'm doing this on my phone. So feel free to laugh at me. But you know what I just got? Because I follow him for when he does lives. Chad Zumock just posted a new fucking comedy bit. And it literally across my screen as I'm bad-mouthing him. And it's that moment where you're like, you're kind of a piece of shit, nobody too, Geno. But
it was this now, right? This wasn't.
Come on. I tried to forget.
That looks like a gorilla yawning.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Look, her looks like the ending of Jaws. But with I thought being on Missy Love's Company was fine, but at the same time, I don't know why Brennan has guests on, because he doesn't want anyone to talk.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, somebody I fucking had nothing going on. It was Friday. So I'm like, let me watch. I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm glad I did, because usually you were great. I'm not just saying that. You, as someone who watches saying Brennan's full of shit, and you're just like, you literally said, like, I don't get why every time, it's like, what's 2 + 2? It's 4. Could you explain it? It's 4. You would just yell louder. And it's like, so, but how'd you get the 2 and the other 2? Turn them off. Take them off. Title this one, take them off.
It was so stupid.
And you aggravated, like you watched it, he aggravated him. And that's what you watch that for. Levy, I'll say Levy even aggravates him now. Like, you know, he won't defend me. And he should, Stevie Lew. He shouldn't. He should do whatever the fuck he wants. But he fucking, if he doesn't, and it drives him nuts because he doesn't. I said this too. Bob doesn't badmouth me. He doesn't say anything. And there are times Kevin wants him to say, yeah, Geno sucks, or yeah. And he's like, Bob, say something. Shut up. It's glorious. And Hughezy, I didn't even think he realized you were doing it. It's like, what are you doing? Say something mean. And he wouldn't do it. He's like, I just wanted to know. And he's screaming at him. It was great.
Yeah, no, because I as much as I'm bigoted, actually, at the end of the day, like everyone, yeah, some of the best porn stars I watch aren't white. There you go. Yeah. But with Missy Love's Company,
which guys do you like?
Hey, wait a minute. That sounds like you're accusing me of being a homosexual.
Brian, I implied you were a homosexual.
But to answer your question, they're Brad Armstrong. But just as we come up to the final question, I got to ask about a guy who's got arms like a porn star's cat. The great Aaron Berg. I remember, I think it was, I can't remember who I was interviewing. Anyway, but they said there had been an incident with you and Aaron at some comedy club where he had literally argued with you and pushed you against the wall or something like that. Was that true? And what is the status of you and Aaron's relationship?
And are you mad that I put a ton of money on Aaron? Go.
I'm mad that you didn't let me put some money in on that bet as well, because I can't do it. He did push me against the wall, but he didn't it was. This story hasn't changed either. It was after the breakup, and fucking he said many disingenuous things when God forgive me, if Aaron had just said, I don't want to do it in Hot Water anymore. I don't like being behind a paywall. Kevin, God forgive me, I got to drink if I were drinking. Aaron Berg's one of the best fucking live comedians anywhere. I've always said that. And the problem with it was, let me rephrase. What became a problem for Aaron, and again, I know I make this long, but I want people to understand what led up to it. What became a problem for Aaron is when you're doing the stand, which I would argue is a better comedy club than the Cellar now. When you're doing the stand every night and you get up on stage, on the same stage that Louis C.K. just got on and killed, and the same stage that fucking Chris Rock dropped by on and killed, and you're killing, and you're wondering, why am I not rich? And why don't I have more? And and you have a wife and a child, and you were raised, like he's a Jew, and you're raised where, this is important. And suddenly you say, well, I got to get out from behind this paywall or something. And that's fine. And when you're driving, you get a place and you have a beautiful home and you have a place in Jersey that you have to drive through the Lincoln Tunnel fucking twice a day now, once at fucking 2 to do the show and once at night because you want to go home and hang out with your kid and your wife because they're awesome. You do that, well, then the ride becomes a lot. And you can watch the months leading up when he Skyped in a lot. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's mailing in. He's not mailing it in. We want him to have fun on the show. And because we fucking never stopped doing it during COVID, and we became so good at Aaron Skyping in because he's a good man who I'll shit on him in a sec. He's a good man who fucking said, I'm getting my wife fucking out of here because we believe people, and took him to Delaware. Well, then so it was like, just Skype in then, because we were trying to make his life easy. But with all that shit said and done, when he left, he didn't say any of that. And he tried to throw a lot of us under the bus, and we pushed back. And this leads up to him finally leaving. He's like, well, Geno, and it's all bullshit. Okay. And again, $1,000 if you can find a clip of me saying the word on stage, which again, I think we should say more. We shouldn't say the gives it power. We should say the word, not the way Kevin says it, because he puts you and the word with all caps. But the point I'm making is to further sell that narrative after he left, and the show didn't miss a beat, because I know, even though I talk all the time, Aaron, I know how to spin the plates, and I fucking would just dish it to Garrett and Steve more. He had to make it look like he put on a show, and he pushed me against the wall, in my opinion, and he was holding his fist up, and he's saying all this stuff, and he didn't. I had no bruise, no marks, no nothing. He was not violent or anything. But I said, don't tell. And Rich Carucci, another comedian, was there. I'm like, don't tell anyone. But he started telling people about it. And it became this long-winded fucking thing where it was a fucking violent dust-up, when I'll say for the 8 billionth time, he was never going to hit me. He's not an asshole. He's not a psycho, but he needed that story to get out there, where it's like he was pushed to his wit's edge by me, and he wasn't. And all that said, I say this on the show all the time, it was a bad breakup, and people say shit, myself included, during a bad breakup, but I'm done. And he's welcome to come by the show anytime, but he won't. I don't think he will, and I'd love to be proven wrong, just because it's awkward now. But I'll say it again. If you can see him live, do yourself the favor. He's amazing.
He's lazy, though. That 25 sets thing, load of shit. He should have at least done 26 if he wants to impress me.
Yeah.
Chad, Karl, from your perspective, because you work with like a team of boys, but do you ever worry about sometimes, like what happened with Geno and Chad, Geno and Aaron, that it may lead to a breakup within the team?
Yeah, of course. When I've been in bands for a long time, and I've been in a lot of bands. Almost all of them have broken up. I'm in 2 bands now, but I've been in 35 or 40 over the last couple of decades. So yeah, of course, this always happens.
Yeah. He wanted to do something different. And like, he did that Berg's bass, which, look, I'll insult him if you want to call it that by paying him a compliment. It's not as good as what we were doing, because one, he's a great comedian because he's so good live. Berg's bass is taped. So it takes that element that we always had within Hot Water. And I like, you can watch, like, I'm a great straight man. Let that go, Karl. But I am. And I love setting him up. I would sit there, and I would always say, I don't know what we're doing, Aaron, but it's incredible. Like, I would say 3 words, and he'd get up and he'd walk into the booth, and he's like, and it would just be a character. One time I was bitching about Fauci, and I used the phrase misinformation, and he goes, hold on. And he leaves. And now he's in the booth with this, we do the Conan talking face thing. And it's this Google, if you're ever bored, Google it. There's a clip of it on YouTube. But misinformation, it was a tranny. It was a tranny. It it was just the face of a tranny, and she was like somebody going, I'm misinformation. And her bit on stage was to do terrible jokes. And then as she was leaving, saying no one could follow her, but no one would physically follow her on stage because she would shit all over the stage on her way off. How do you think of that? I mean, and that was the fucking chemistry we had, but he didn't want to do it after a while because he wanted to do something else. He's touring all over. He's killing it.
My response to that would be, what plugs do you have, Karl?
What's that?
Thank you so much, Hughezy. I apologize. My wife has dinner ready. I have to go and eat, and then I have band practice. You know, this is the life of a rock star / podcaster. This is what we have to do.
I was going to smoke a cigar with my cat. I don't need you.
Aw, look at that.
Actually, so I got to go see Canoe and feed her some straw. You know how fat she gets.
That cat looks dead, by the way. If anyone wants to call animal services.
We do a pet of the day every day on In Hot Water, you know, because I gave my number out and fans text me all the time. And again, thank God they do, because I'll sit here in the morning with my cat. Oh my God, she's not. I'll sit here in the morning with my cat, smoking a cigar, drinking coffee, texting fans. So this weekend, a guy texted me, and this is terrible. His cat, Zeus, 3 years old, passed away, ate some carnations, got really sick. And by the time, you know, the fucking emergency people, they got it had passed away. So as a tribute, we put some pictures of it up today, and Garrett photoshopped carnation instant breakfast in one picture, carnations all over. And I still have to see if he's happy with us or not, but it's great. The fans send me the pets. It's the best thing ever, me giving out my number. And again, that's what drives Brennan nuts. Because he's like, every time someone texts me, like, I'll just give out G. I can't because he wants me to.
Speaking of, I'll put all your plugs in the YouTube description down below, Karl, if you want.
Yeah, and I just want to say you should watch In Hot Water with Garrett, who's hilarious. I guess Geno's on there too. I don't know what he does, but Garrett's great.
Love when people text me. I love when they text me, hey, Garrett and Steve are really funny. You think? I call them meal ticket. But yeah, you can say they're funny.
Guys, thanks so much for having me on. It's been a blast. Geno, let's connect again soon. Hughezy, I'll see you tomorrow. Chad, always good.
Sorry about your
Later,
bills,
Karl.
but you don't have Brandon Staley. By the way, we'll do a podcast, and you can tell me who this clone is of DeMar Hamlin, okay?
Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Tell me your wife still likes that headband. I love that you.
Oh, she loves it. Hell yeah. Thank you for that.
Oh, please, love it.
So, Geno, what plugs do you have?
I'm going to say, listen to Who Are These Podcasts with Karl, because he's a big fan of my coworker, Garrett Andritz. But yeah, In Hot Water, 4 days a week. Subscribe to Compound Media. There's nothing that can replace, not just the talent, that Anthony Cumia guy, but I can't stress this enough. Like, I'm realizing, and this is great, I don't have to tell you, I love doing this. Thanks for having me on, Hughezy. But there's something you can't replace, like with YouTube, that you get with the studio. People dropping in. That's another reason I'm on a juice cleanse, because fans kept coming up saying, I want to have a drink with Geno. And who am I to say no to an entire bottle of Jameson and no to going across the street and having a beverage? You know, you never know who's going to drop by. Sure, Stevie Lew will be by this week to yell at me for yelling at him. But there's nothing better than the Compound Media experience. So if you use the code CM12 month and you get fucking $7.99 a month. I had some idiot text me, because I have some trolls texting me as well. And he's like, he goes, I don't fucking pay for your network. I only pay for super chats. I said, so for the $7.99, for one less $7.99 a month super chat that you could do for free if you weren't so needy for them, you could get over 200 hours of programming. Stop it. YouTube's great, but every fucking super chat they take 30 or 40% of, and you're complicit in the fucking lies. They silence your voice. Is this up on YouTube before I say that?
This is a Zoom recording, which I will then bleep as we upload it tomorrow or Wednesday.
Okay, I should be drunk again by then. This juice cleanse kicks my ass.
Chad, what plugs do you have?
Follow me on Twitter at ChadIanB, at IB Exclusives on Instagram. Geno can go to my website, ibexclusives.com. Check out the autograph signings I have coming up. You can send into my private autograph signings where we meet directly with athletes.
I'm going to do it. I wrote it down.
Awesome.
I'm going to do it.
Awesome. You meet directly with
Once
athletes.
I get my fucking internet, I'll do it, Chad.
Directly with athletes and celebrities, we get your items signed and send it back to you, and you get a nice little keepsake. It's been going really well, and we love to have you join the party, if you will. So ibexclusives.com, come on over and get something done. Again, I'm wondering why I'm still here, because when Geno falls off, it's just me. So sorry about that, but appreciate you wanting me to join this merry little band of queer folk.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, I can already tell this is one of the best episodes ever. It was fucking crazy. New York podcasters are all fucking insane. And these are all, in my opinion, good eggs who are willing to do the other show.
Ribbing.
Yeah, a bit of Josh banter, a bit of trading barbs. It's a gay old time. Yeah. Geno doesn't sell the tickets. He's gay. He has a boyfriend. So, and also I want to say thank you to Stevie Lew. We'll put all his plugs in the description box below. Thank you to, of course, Karl, the king of the podcast world. And shall we end with the big wave goodbye to all the boys and girls watching at home? But, well, fuck, where's the fucking... It's like, bye, everybody.
Rockets.